All right. Hi, I'm Sammy. I'm with TV Grapevine. It's such an honor to speak with you.
Thanks, Sammy. Wow, thank you.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about why you decided to do this show.
They sent me the screeners of the first two seasons, and I watched it, and I loved the format and how it was structured. It was so kind of original, and I love the aim of the show, which is to show more about how the brain works rather than how much information we retain. And it just seemed really lively and energizing. So I said, "Yep."
And how is it different from some of the other projects you've done in the past? Because I know you've done so many different things. How does this stand out from the other projects that you've done?
I mean, I've never done a game show, so it couldn't stand out in any more starker relief. It is a completely new kind of format and way of performing for me. So, I mean, that's how it stands out for me.
Nice. And what was the biggest challenge about doing a game show versus some of your other previous projects?
Well, this is, in a weird way, it kind of wasn't a challenge because this requires a lot of crowd work and talking to people. I do a lot of that in my stand-up anyways when I'm doing shows. So, once I got the actual gameplay down, that the mechanics of what you have to say, which was a little couple, it took me a couple times to get that. Then it was just weirdly smooth sailing.
Very nice. And without giving too much away, what was your favorite moment about filming the show?
I just, it isn't even a single moment. It was the surprising way how people that you would think had gotten toward the end and would maybe just go home with the 10 grand went, nope, I'm going all the way. I'm going like, and they did that pretty consistently, and it was surprising and kind of inspiring when they would do that.
Nice. Now, if you were a contestant on the show rather than hosting it, what would your strategy be doing the whole thing?
Well, for this show, your strategy would be hope that your brain works logically in a way that helps you answer these questions. So, I know that there are strategies to playing Jeopardy. You pick the larger amounts first, but this one, it's more in terms of keep the 30-second countdown in your head in case you have to use a pass at the last second. Try to take a honest run at each question, but it's kind of strategy free in a way.
That's so true. That you bring up a
Yeah.
really good point with that. And that's what I liked about the first couple of seasons of it. And what I like about this as well is it's airing on streaming and then airing on Fox. How do you feel
Yes.
about that having a whole big audience that everybody can see it?
Well, it reaches different audiences and different people. Hopefully, when it premieres on May 23rd on Amazon, enough people will be talking about it that when it does premiere on Fox on June 3rd, people are like, "Oh, they'll be because they've been hearing about this thing." And it's almost like the way you take a Broadway show out of town in previews and then you bring it to Broadway for everyone to see it. Hopefully, that same thing will happen with this.
Nice. And do we get to see a lot of, since you do comedy, do we get to see a lot of your personality and humor as you host it, or are you just kind of sticking to a script?
There's no script. I mean, there's a thing I say at the beginning of, welcome to the show. Here's how we play. The rest is me just talking to people and riffing on what they say. They riff on what I say. And we kind of go along with the game as it cooks.
And is there one, without giving too much away, is there one specific contestant that stood out to you that maybe they won or they didn't do quite as well as you thought, or someone that was just so memorable that you're like, oh my gosh, I would remember this person forever?
There are a couple, and I'm not going to spoil it. There are some
Okay, okay,
some
fair enough.
genuinely like original personalities that we got to meet, and you see them. You'll see. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. And speaking of comedy, are you going to do any more of that in the future? What are your
Oh
plans
yeah.
on that?
I'm tomorrow I fly to Tulsa. I'm doing shows in Tulsa and Dallas. I have a whole tour mapped out this summer. Doing the Netflix Fest in LA. I'll be doing stand up forever. It's all listed on my website. Just go to pattonoswalt.com. I've got a whole summer and autumn worth of shows already booked.
And the fact that you're such a legend, other than your comedy, what do you think your legacy is going to be?
Um, my homemade almond milk. I don't know. You know what? I think trying to predict your own legacy is kind of a sucker's game. You don't get to choose what your legacy is. It's what eventually you are remembered for way later as the chaff kind of falls away. It's what had, I don't want to quote Italo Calvino right now, but the world is inferno, and you got to try to find the things that aren't inferno and keep those. So we'll see which of my stuff isn't inferno.
Nice. And going back to the show a little bit, if you were to cast your celebrity version of the show, who are some people that you would like to see on there and why?
Oh boy. Gosh, so many comedians I'd love to see, in terms of like intelligent and logical thinking. I'd love to see like Steve Martin, um, and Dave Chappelle and Kathy Griffin. I'd love to see directors like John Waters, or Guillermo del Toro, singers like Michael Stipe. And I mean, God, there's too many to name right now. But there's a lot of, I would love to see people whose mind, Stephen King. I'd love to see Stephen King. People whose
Ooh, I like
minds
that.
have given me revelations. I'd like to see how their minds would work on this show.
And going back to your legendary career, what is one thing on your bucket list that you haven't completed yet that you want to, and why?
I want to direct a movie that I've written, and I don't know how I'm going to do that, but it will happen. I am confident that that will happen.
I am very confident that that will happen too. I mean, you've
Thank you.
already accomplished so much. You're such an accomplished man. And I have to say, this is such an honor that I got to speak to you today. And I think you're absolutely amazing.
Well, thanks for
But
having me on the show. Thank you.
of course, but sadly, we are almost out of time.
Oh,
Sad face.
sorry.
Oh, but I just want to say congratulations. I'm so proud of you. And I want you to describe your show in 3 words.
3 words. Surprising, fast, and intuitive.
I like
Does
it.
that
I
make
like
sense?
it. Yes, it does. And I am so incredibly proud of you. And I hope we get a chance to talk again soon.
I hope so too. You've been a delight. Thank you.
You too. Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.